Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet.
This review covers the re-release of the 1948 Ford in police coupe livery from Revell. It's a 125 scale model kit number 85-4318. This version is a 2-in-1 and includes both stock and police parts and adds just the necessary police parts to build a police coupe. On Revell's skill level, it's a level 5 for ages 14 and up, and it suggests about 7 hours of construction time. You get 136 pieces molded in white, chrome, clear, and clear red. The kit also comes with vinyl white wall tires and waterslide decals with multiple police agencies available. The instructions are typical book format, and the motor is well detailed and builds into a nice flathead engine. The chassis and the interior are also multiple parts, and they have lots of detail and nice crisp features with decals for the dash. The body is straight and clean and has few issues. Overall, the finished dimensions are length 7 7/8 inches, the width 2 7/8 inches, and height 2 3/4 inches. Typical for Revell, this kit comes with a great sheet of decals. The quality is very high and the color registry is great. There's a small carrier, but they float easily and set quickly. But I prefer to use some of the decal setting solutions available, and I've found that Microscale Industries products work very well. But as always, use the manufacturer's safety and use guidelines when using any of the products mentioned in the review for your own protection. To begin, gather the parts you see here to construct the motor. Assemble the block, the intake water pump together, and the heads with that, and paint that a blue-gray. The transmission is steel, and the exhaust is steel, as is the carburetor. The belts are a rubber color, and the rest of the parts are like a flat black. Assemble the carb and the air filter to the intake, then add the starter and the exhaust. Install the generator to the belt and the belt to the motor, and add the fan. Then add the oil filter and distributor. Get the chassis parts out and paint them all semi-gloss black. The exhaust is steel with aluminum, and the shocks are red or any color your favorite brand. The master cylinder is steel colored, and then install the exhaust in the chassis and add the cross member. Then add the master cylinder to the cross member. Assemble and install the rear suspension and add the shocks to the chassis. Paint all of these suspension parts semi-gloss black as well, and the shocks for that area red too, or any color that you choose. Assemble the suspension onto the chassis. Moving on to the wheels, assemble the rim fronts and rears with the brakes, and paint the units black. Insert those into the tires, and if you want the white walls, you'll turn them out, but for the police version, I turn the white walls in. And to give the tires a used, worn look, I roll the tread on a sheet of fine sandpaper. Then insert the rims into the tires. Gather the wheel parts and snap a rim and a tire onto each axle. These are the fronts, and these are the rears. Now drop the motor into the chassis on the frame where it mounts. Gather up these parts for the radiator and assemble them, painting that steel and flat black with flat black hoses. Then install the radiator to the frame and connect 4 hoses to the motor. I'm sure you'll have noticed that the chassis and frame was pretty straight, so now we have a rolling chassis to work with. Start the body at this time by installing the firewall, the hood hinges, and the fender grills. Then wet sand the body with a fine sandpaper to remove any blemishes and few mold lines that you'll run across. Now spray the body inside and out with a good quality primer. Use some nice even coats to give it a good finish, and then another sanding with some fine paper. For the exterior finish, I went with the police version black and white two-tone, and first painted the bright white on the sides and let it cure, after I had taped it off with some good quality masking tape. With the windows and the sides still taped up, I used the gloss black to paint the rest of the body, and gave it some good overall coats, starting with some mist coats and then some heavier wet coats. Then you remove the tape and and touch up any blemishes with the paint that you have if necessary. Now you can install the few exterior decals available for the police version, but they really set off the model. I elected to use an aftermarket product called bare metal foil to add some accents and highlights to the trim on the exterior of the car. It applies just like tape, and then you trim off the excess. It really makes the highlights look great and finishes off your model properly. Pull the window glass out of the kit, remove them from the sprues and sand off any sprue connection points. And then I use a product called Pledge Floor Care to dip the parts in and let them wick off and then dry to give them a thinner, crisper look. Paint the roof liner and the pillars with a gray color for your interior to match the rest of the seats, etc. Finally, install the windows into the body using some white glue or clear part cement. Paint the interior floor flat black. The seats and the door panels are gray, and paint the handles on the door panels silver. The pedals and the air vents are black. Now install the seats and the pedals onto the floor pan, then add the door panels, and in the body add the mirror and the air vent. Gather these parts and paint the dash, column, and wheel gray. The trim panel, which is chrome, looks great with a 50-50 black wash on it. That's 50% black paint and 50% water or thinner. Then just add it to the recesses and rub the rest off of the highlighted areas. The radio is painted black. Then add the decals to the trim panel, install the radio under the dash, then glue the wheel and the wheel trim and signal stalk to the column, then add the dash and the column into the dash and into the interior in their slots. Now turn the body over and install the interior into it by lining up the pins on the body to the holes and tabs at the back of the interior tub. Paint the chassis pan flat black with a steel gas tank. The bumper mounts are semi-gloss black and the battery is black with white caps and steel posts. Then install the chassis pan into the body, add the chassis, and add the bumper mounts to their frame ends. Then add the battery to the engine bay. Now gather these parts to finish the front end assembly and install all of the chrome work and any of the small pieces you saw there. Then the front end is completed at this point. Just add the tag of your choice to the license plate holder and put that in place. Pull out the pieces to complete the rear end assembly and then pick a matching tag and add it to the rear end license holder for a complete look. Here is how the completed engine bay will look. It's a pretty nice representation for the model year. To finish the police version of the car, you'll need to add the siren and the lights, and also the radio antenna, which is added to the rear bumper. If you've built the police version of the car, you'll find that there aren't very many pieces left. There are just some decals, an extra battery and AC unit, but I also elected not to use the hubcaps for my build because a lot of the police cars back at that time did not even come with hubcaps, so I just painted the lug nuts on the wheels a steel color. I think Revell did a great job on this kit, and it was a fun build. The fit and finish was excellent, and the parts were clean and crisp with good detail. Overall, it had really nice detailing everywhere, but the flathead motor was a standout, and it had a great chassis with plenty of detail there. The interior was nicely appointed, had crisp lines, but like the real car, was sparse. The body molding is clean and details were easy to see, and there were very few mold lines, and the ones that were there sanded away quickly with normal sanding. And the trim work on the exterior was excellent and easy to foil. Overall, the buildability was quite good. I rate this pretty high. It's a great subject kit, and I think you're going to love the way it goes together.
We hope you've liked this step-by-step review from Right On Replicas. And so that you don't miss any of our features, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But you can also find us on Facebook and on the web at our website www.rightonreplicas.com. Thanks.